Good morning, good afternoon. It's Crypto Granny Bobby Bob. Welcome to my program. Today it's titled Jerome Powell Speaks of Food Shortages. He was asked a question today about the wheat supply and the food supply and inflation and a recession ahead of us. And when he replied to the question about food supply, he never clearly said yes or no, but he did say there was a shortage of wheat. They said about 6 weeks ago there was 10 weeks of wheat supply for the U.S., and that was about 6 weeks ago. So I'm hoping it's wrong. So we should have about 4 weeks worth of supply available. So all I'm saying is look at the meeting he had today. You can find it yourself. Do your own research, as always. That's my number one rule to everybody, and I will tell you exactly where to find the interview. And everybody should always educate themselves. The more you educate yourself, the brighter we can be and the better lives we can live. Education is definitely great for the mind. It is. I'm going to type it in. I watched it on CNBC television, and it says it's titled on YouTube Live, Fed Chair Jerome Powell testifies before Senate Banking Committee on monetary policy. It's a lot of good information there, and I will drop the information right here so you can see it. You can go to YouTube, Jerome Powell. It's very interesting if you know what's going on in the world and the financial system. Jerome Powell testifies before Senate Banking Committee. And what I will do is just look it up yourself. I will post it. Just go to YouTube and go to Jerome Powell testifies before Senate Banking Committee, and it was just live. I believe it's still airing. But what really caught my ear was the information about the food shortage.
Given how inflation has escalated over the past,
I'm going to just see if I get to that part.
Both financially but also mentally or psychologically, there's a real circumstance out there that I want you as the chairman and your colleagues to know exists. I think uncertainty in what the future holds is one of the most damaging things when people try to figure out their lives and how comfortable they are. I also want to highlight a particular Kansas, but middle America, across the country, issue of agriculture.
Just listen.
I was on a farm on Saturday, participating in, observing harvest of wheat. We live in a world in which people are starving and more are going to starve if we are unable to, if we fail to get more grain into markets from Ukraine and from Russia, but from the United States as well. Agriculture, farming is a noble calling, and it has a lot to do with being able to feed people who are now desperate. Part of the concern in regard to agriculture is that interest rates have a significant consequence to the profitability, to the survivability of producers, and profit margins get squeezed if interest rates continue to climb. We face declining or lower land values. That creates greater access to credit challenges. Tell me how you see, one, how I can assure my Kansans and Americans that things are going to be better, and two, how can I assure farmers and ranchers that their future will be brighter based upon the activities of the Federal Reserve. So I take the sort of very low confidence ratings that we're reading about and your comments about Kansas citizens as being pretty directly related to high inflation. And I think that people haven't seen it. Most people, you and I, are old enough to remember are factors that we don't control, but those factors do tend to wash out over time. Things like commodity prices don't tend to just keep going up. They may remain high, but they're quite volatile over time. That's what the record shows. So we're doing what we can to get inflation down, the parts that we can address. So for whatever that's worth, that's what we can do and what we will do. In terms of the agricultural patch, as you know, we have, including your Kansas City Fed president, we have some terrific people who are Reserve Bank presidents who give us a good sense of what's going on in the agricultural sector on an ongoing basis. And it's obviously a very, very difficult time with fertilizer prices and difficulty in getting all kinds of inputs. And it's just a very challenging time in the agricultural world. We do understand that. Our part of it is to do what we can to get inflation back under control. I know higher interest rates are painful, but that's the tool we have to moderate demand and get demand and supply back into balance so that inflation can come down. Mr. Chairman, in a conversation you and I had on the phone, you indicated that, as you did today, there are certain aspects of inflation that you have little control over. One of them, I think you mentioned, was energy. Let me be reassured, if you would, that there will not be actions by the Federal Reserve to make lending to fossil fuel.
So basically, he's letting them know that things will get better eventually. Inflation needs to be at 2%. It's not. It's way higher than that. We're at the same numbers, I believe, since 1981. Just prepare yourself. Have, a lot of canned foods, things that don't outdate, things you can just open up and eat. Obviously, you need water. If there is a shortage of water for whatever reason, I don't know if there's a power outage and we can't get the water to come. I don't know. I have a backup plan, and I hope you do too, because people are going to starve. And if you're in a major city, find a plan, find a location, really plan. A lot of us will say, no, I'm going to stay home, but the worst place to be during something like this, financial recession, a crisis, people will be desperate, they'll need money, they'll need food, they'll break into your house. This is when the old-fashioned barter system comes in. You need a cup of rice? Well, I have it. What can you give me? You got to work with your neighbors. Have a plan. See what family members are. A lot of people don't believe this, but you need to prepare. In worst case scenario, it don't happen. It's a great thing if it don't. And you eat your food. That's it. You just have an abundant supply of food, and you use it. You can't lose here, but better to be prepared than unprepared. Have a couple of red containers of gasoline just in case you need to, flee the city. Maybe find a family member that lives up in the country, in the mountains. When the pandemic hit, I made a backup plan just to get out of the city, and I got me some land up in the mountains, and I think that was the best decision we ever made. I have natural water, natural springs, so water I won't need. There's an abundance of animals up on my property, hunting season or not. If it comes down to me feeding my family, we're going to be hunting whether it's seasonal or not. But people aren't going to panic as much when they're up in those rural countryside, mountain, in the middle of the woods locations. Why? Because your neighbors are spread apart, but there's unity. You have a chicken, I have water. We can barter. There's going to be a system, and I'm not trying to scare anyone. I just want everybody to be prepared. Money don't mean nothing if you don't have food to feed your family, and who the hell wants to think about their family starving to death? And if you're going to wait for the government to help you, people are going to be going so crazy if it comes down to this. Could be a conspiracy, I don't know, but I'm always prepared. I try to be as prepared as possible. I'm not into that bunker and like a 10-year supply of food and 100 years of ammo to kill anyone on my property. I'm not into that bugging out situation, but just want to know that we have food and we can survive off the land. And I know it's pretty hard when you live in the city. But just about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I seen on the local news in New York City, they were showing people how to raise chickens from like a coop in your window. Why would they be telling us that? Have a chicken in your window, 1 or 2 in a box, off your windowsill, whether you're in an apartment building or why? Because you can get eggs, protein. It's the only way you're going to eat. If the fuel prices are ridiculous, you're not going to be able to afford to go to the supermarket. I got 3 dozen of eggs yesterday for $10 and I felt like I hit the lotto. I bought a dozen eggs last week. It was $6. I usually pay $2.99 and I get organic and brown. So paid $12 for margarine the other day. It's usually $4.99, $5.99. I mean, inflation is here. It's real. If you look at the 5-pound bags of sugar, they're no longer 5 pounds. They're 4 pounds. But you're paying more for 4 pounds than you ever did for 5 pounds. Notice all the cereal boxes, they have empty. It's filled with air, just like the potato chips. I have a friend who works for Frito-Lay out in Florida, and since the pandemic, they've been having shortage and hard times getting whatever ingredients they need for the potato chips. Listen, do your own research. I'm just here to give you the information. Don't shoot the messenger. You can drop a comment. We can talk about it. Whether you agree or disagree. It's always good to open up your mind to new things and be prepared and be responsible, because it's our job, especially when there's a warning. And I just wanted to let you know about that. I'm going to do a live now about crypto. Take care. God bless. And I hope you prepare. And if you know anything about this, please drop a comment. Hit me up on Twitter and come on my live. It would be awesome. We can all get together and just talk about what we know and educate one another. Education is key. You gotta always feed your mind every day. The more you learn, the more powerful you are. Till next time, Crypto Granny. Take care. God bless.